Hi, I'm Community Resource Officer Kurt Kruger with the Ames Police Department. Here today to give you a tour of the Ames Police Department. We are currently in the Ames Police Department's 24-hour lobby area. So essentially, as if you'd go right through those doors, you'd be on the north side of City Hall where you see the police cars. So anytime you need to file any kind of police report or get any kind of records information from our department, you would enter in through those doors, and this would be where you'd come into. First off, we're going to start off, come over here. We're going to go to the Police Administration and Investigation side. And as you come into our administrative side, this room that you'll see here, this is what we call our family services room. This is a room that we can use to take reports from people. It's a great room if we have multiple people we need to talk to at one time, or if they have children with them, small kids. That way it gives the area for the smaller individuals to walk around. But it's also big enough to hold multiple people to have a nice little meeting as well. So follow us along. We'll keep on going down the other side here. So now we're going to enter the back hall of our administrative side, where there are all the offices for upper command staff, our chief secretary. So you'll see this room is just, or this hallway is just office space on both sides, typical office equipment, more offices, and then we're going to show you our actual evidence tech lab that we can do evidence with. So this is our evidence lab. As you can see, this is where patrol officers and our detectives work throughout the day if we need to process any kind of evidence. So if we need to work on getting fingerprints, DNA, anything related to an investigation that we're working on, this is a lab that we can come into. There are tons of different materials and things: cameras, bags, supplies, scissors, flashlights, rulers, tape measures, different colored glasses, cameras. Basically, like I said, this is just our lab, to sum it up, to anything that we need to try to figure out evidence for a crime. All right, from the lab, we'll go back out into our administrative hallway here, and we'll work our way down the hall, past more of the investigators' offices and some of the command staff, and we'll show one of our briefing rooms. So now we're back in the hallway of the administrative side. Again, it's more offices. We'll head down here to one of the briefing rooms for investigations. So this is our briefing room for investigations. So every day when the detectives, our criminal investigations division, comes into work, they sit in this briefing room here and they go over all the cases that have happened overnight and the day before, and they discuss what cases they need to work on and follow up on. This is also another meeting area that we can meet as a unit to discuss cases or anything that we have going on. A couple things I'll talk about. So as far as equipment goes, since we are on the criminal investigation side, so typically our detectives, you'll see them wearing business attire, so the ties and slacks, and they will wear these types of items. So this here, essentially they can place a set of handcuffs in, they can put an extra magazine in, you'll see this on their hip, and this obviously would hold their gun on the other side, and typically they just have their radio, a nice portable radio like this. So that's typically how our investigations division looks like, as also known as our detectives. In here we have some video equipment over here. So these are the investigators' body cameras. There's actually a monitor over here that shows our interview room, which is what we're going to head into next. So another interrogation / interview room, whatever people want to call it. So come on along, we'll show you that room. So this is the interview room that I was discussing, that you saw on the cameras up here in the corner that we saw on the monitor in the other room. So again, this is something we can come in and investigators can take reports from people, or we can interview suspects, witnesses, or any people that we need to talk to as far as the case goes. So come on along, we'll keep moving along. So this here is the back hall to our police department. This office area in here, this is the door that leads to our emergency communications division. So anytime that you call 911 or you call the Ames Police Department non-emergency number, people behind this door in here, they're the ones that are going to be on the other end of that phone, answering all your questions, getting the help that you need. Come on along. So we're right back where we started, as you can see. So that's our administrative and criminal investigation side. Now the other side of the building that we're going to show you next, this is our patrol division, where all the patrol officers are going to go. So come on along. So this is the first part of the hallway to our patrol division. As you'll see, we have lockers. Each locker is designated to each of our patrol cars and our parking officers' cars. Lockers, excuse me, will have extra supplies. These are PBTs for our vehicles, extra paper, extra bullets, raincoats. So we keep each squad car, you'll see in a little bit here, but we have an AED for each squad car, and they're not being used when it gets really cold out or really hot out. We keep them inside. It's easier on the machine. So each day, after the officer gets their vehicle assigned to them, they come out to their locker, get the keys, and then they go out to their car. So let's go check out our patrol briefing room. So this is our patrol briefing area. As you can see here, so every day when the patrol shift starts, the beginning of their shift, they'll come in, they'll sit here with their command staff, all the officers that they're there for the day. They discuss everything that happened from the last shift till the time that they came in, so that way they need to know if there's any particular areas that we need to focus on, any cars we need to look out, and any people that we need to be look out. And then we also discuss any kind of follow-up that the patrol officers have to do or need, or also if there's any other special project that the command staff wants to work on for that shift. They discuss it in here. We also have mailboxes, typical office things. This is also called the Emergency Operations Center, so if there's a major disaster, like when the derecho hit this last summer, this is where all the city departments come together and they plan and get the city back on track. So over here is all of our body cameras. So every officer is issued a body camera. They station them over here in our briefing area. They do not go home at night. So they stay in here, they charge, and they can download. Also back over here, you'll see a couple of computers. This is also an area where officers can come in and work on the computers, make phone calls. Officers also come in here and they take break so they can eat their lunch in here, breakfast, whatever they need to eat. I'll give you a quick idea of some of the gear that we wear. Each officer is issued gear by the city. There's a little bit of variance, as you can see. So this is where I keep my ballistic vest. I wear it on an outer one, so it's actually a Velcroed in right in here, little piece. On my outer vest carrier, you'll see I've got a body camera, as I stated. The actual system itself is down here on our duty belt. What I carry on my particular duty belt, I have a pair of handcuffs, 2 extra magazines with bullets, another set of handcuffs, my OC spray, and keep on going back. I've got my radio, which obviously you can see up here. Some officers have an earpiece, so they don't have the large microphone here to talk to, so you'll just see the earpiece that goes in their ear. And I also have my baton on the back of my duty belt. On this side, like I said, my camera and obviously my duty weapon. And obviously carry lots of notepads. All pockets have flashlights, knives, pockets for pens. So let's keep on going back out in the hallway here. As you can see, there's a couple more offices back here, as well as on the other side of the room there as we were going around. Again, there's some sergeant's offices over here. Our mental health advocate, Julie Saxon, she works back here, and my office is also back in here. So these are just typical offices that are in any building. So let's go check out some of our evidence stuff. So we're going to come into our back hall down here. So this is where our evidence lockers are going to be kept, and anything that we need to process evidence, we keep it back here. So as you'll see, this door that we just passed, that gets into our evidence vault, mega door. We have 2 evidence technicians that work. And then now here, these are all of our special evidence type lockers. All the evidence lockers, the way that they work, they're only one-sided, so you open it up. I can put whatever evidence I need to keep in here. I put it in, no matter what the size is. Then I would push this button, it locks, and now you can no longer get to that evidence from this side. That way the chain of custody is kept, and only evidence techs can take it out. But as you can see, there are different size lockers for different size items. And then down on this end here, you'll see the silver looking one. So we also have a fridge, so if there's anything kind of liquids or anything that obviously needs to stay cold, we can put it in there for evidence purposes. So these are evidence supplies. So I'll show a couple different things that we use on a regular basis. We have multiple different drug testing kits. So essentially it kind of looks kind of like this here. So I can put any kind of substance that I think it is. So this one here, particular one, is for checking to see if something is cocaine or not. So we can put a little bit of the white powdery substance, rock substance, into here. And these little tubes, we're able to crush them up, shake them up, and this is considered a field test. So this would tell us right away if the colors change like this, that it would be positive for cocaine in there. And then once officer is done with this, we send the believed substance down to the DCI lab, which is in Ankeny. That's a state lab to confirm everything. So there's multiple different ones we can do for that. Some are even little break kits like this, like a little glass kit that you can break. It's got a little Q-tip on it. So like this particular one here is a different way to test meth. You can break off the glass and you can dab it right into the substance that you think that might be positive for meth, and you can get a test on there. We pick up lots of needles and sharp objects, so we have obviously lots of different sharps tubes. We keep multiple different scales. Got to weigh different items, especially when it comes to narcotics and drugs. We got to measure them to see how much they weigh. Lots of different size bags. Here's a little bag. We place evidence in here. We write everything in there, and we write kind of who put it in there to keep that chain of custody. So you want to make sure that nobody's tampering with stuff. So you'd put it in here, you'd rip this tag off, you'd seal it down, and this is some of the stickiest, nastiest stuff. So when you try to pull this off, it rips half the bag, so that way you would know that nobody tampered with that bag. So there's just different sizes of bags that we use for that particular stuff. In here, again, just more supplies. These has a lot of different boxes that we use for different guns and things. So if officers, we collect a lot of guns, put them in guns, we can strap them down with zip ties to make sure that they're safe when the evidence techs are handling them, make sure they're not getting damaged or broke. You will see we do have different organizations within our community that donate stuff for the homeless. So these here are some that we can hand out. These have different clothes, blankets, things like that. We also have 2 boxes down there that officers can grab, and it has a to-go bag in there that has like socks, underwear, toothpaste, deodorant, some shampoo, some lotion, and a couple of snacks that are long-lasting for some of the homeless people that we encounter on a regular basis, so we can give to people in need. Behind us over here, as I said, this is the back hall of the patrol division side, so we have a couple locker rooms for our staff. Down over here you'll see a big special looking door. This is our armory where officers can work on their firearms and any kind of armory type items that they need to be addressed. Next we'll go check out our booking area. Alright, so we're going to head into our intoxilizer or our data master room. So this room here is a small little room that we use. Our booking area is on the other side of this door. What this room here is used for, one, we can interview people in it, but the main focus or job of this particular room is it has our data master for us. So if somebody has been arrested for an OWI, operating while intoxicated, whether that's alcohol or drugs, we bring them back into here, and this is the data master room, so the notorious blow into that machine to see how drunk you are, basically. This is the room that you would actually end up in to have the chance to blow into the machine. And this is kind of what the data master actually looks like and the computer system that we use for it. Next, we'll go to the actual booking room, which is where you would start with that OWI, and then you would end up in this room. But we'll come on out here to the booking area. So this is what we consider our booking room. So anytime that you've been arrested, we would pull up into our sally port, which is what you'll see next here. We're kind of in this backwards order. But essentially you would come in here, we would place the arrestee on the bench over there. We would place them in a handcuff, so that way they can't get up and wander around. This is the area the officer could use this computer to type up any of their charging documents, any kind of paperwork that needs to be assessed or read. We use here as a workstation. There's a restroom in here. These belts back here, typically, this is what we consider a transport belt. Obviously, being handcuffed, it's not a pleasant idea to be behind your back. Typically, most people can get calmed down and they're pretty cooperative. So instead of having that person be very uncomfortable with their arms behind their back, because the jail for all of Story County is actually over in Nevada, so we have to transport all of our prisoners from here over to Nevada. And it makes for a long car ride and very uncomfortable if your handcuffs are tied behind your back or handcuffed behind your back. So what this transport belt does is allows us to put it on somebody, and then they can be handcuffed in the front. That way they are still in our custody, they can't harm us or themselves, and it's a lot more comfortable to be handcuffed in front versus behind their back while they're being transported to the jail. So we have a restroom. Sometimes prisoners are pretty out of control and being very irrational, and they are trying to harm themselves. Obviously we don't want somebody to get hurt, so essentially we could place an arrestee in here. So these walls are all pretty padded, the floor is pretty padded that way. Like I said, if someone was being very uncooperative, out of control, and irrational, we could place them in here in hopes that they would not harm themselves or us as officers. Thankfully, we don't have to use this room too often, but it does have to get used from time to time. And as you can see down here on the bench, like I said, once somebody sits on here, we do keep one of their hands in the handcuffs. That way they are still under our control. Next, we'll head out to the sally port area, which is also known as a garage. So this is our sally port area, also known as a garage. This is where we can pull in 2 different squad cars. Typically, if someone's been arrested, we try not to keep them out in the public, so we pull them into here, and then we are able to open the back door. We go straight into our booking area, which is the area that we just came from. There are more transport belts out here. We also have a couple storage lockers in here for obvious cleaning supplies, extra gloves, things to clean out the car, kind of just a storage typical garage. So come on along, we'll take a quick look at one of our police squad cars. So this is one of our hybrid crossovers that you'll see. You'll know that it's a hybrid because it has the green line here. Obviously, with it being a dead of winter, cars are going to have a lot of snow and ice on them right now, but we typically get them washed about every other day to try to keep them looking clean. But as far as with the hybrid crossovers, they're fantastic for us. They actually get 11 miles per gallon more than the old versions of the crossover, so we get about 19 miles per gallon with these. These only require 2 oil changes per year versus the old squad cars that they require 13. And these ones here save around $5,400 a year in gas costs alone. So we'll take a quick look at some of the items in the back. So in the back of our patrol cars, they're still packed, lots of different things that we need to carry. We have riot shields. Again, here's one of our AEDs. Lots of paperwork for our job. Obviously, everything that we do has to be very much documented. So there's tons of paperwork and computer work behind the scenes that you don't typically see police officers doing. It's not just driving around squad cars, pulling people over, or catching bad guys and girls. There's lots of paperwork in our job. So as you can see, this looks pretty compilated. So we have a lot of stuff in here that we got to be able to get to in a short amount of time. I won't pull everything out. This is one of our main things that we do use quite a bit. This is our own little CSI lab tech stuff. So patrol officers, while they're out on scene, we talked about it in the lab. But this here, if they need to check for fingerprints, we can get footprints. This is kind of one of our main kits that we will use for collecting evidence. We'll take a quick look on the inside of the car as well. So as we come around, you see the back seat of all squad cars look pretty similar. It's kind of a plastic cover. You never know what kind of fluids end up in here. So that way it's easy to wash out and keep them clean and sterile for the next person. There is a kind of a cage, a plexiglass type item to keep the patrol officer safe from any suspect that they arrested that would try to harm them, or nobody's able to get out of the back seat. Obviously there's no door handles and they could not get up through the front. If you want to come take a look in the actual driver's seat here. So typically the patrol car would have a computer in here. This officer is using the computer at the moment. But this is a Ford Explorer, so it looks similar to what the typical Ford Explorer is if you have one at home. Cup holders. This is how we control all of our lights down here. We have our radios. We have scanning devices. Up here you'll see where our body cameras are the same as what's in the car. So this here is a display screen that shows the cameras that are on our car and showing the outside and the back seat of our squad car. We have up in the front our dash. This is a radar machine, so if officers are running radar, which is if they're out looking for speeding enforcement, this tells them how fast the patrol car is going and how fast the other cars that they are trying to monitor are going, so we can document their speeds. There are patrol rifles and shotguns in every vehicle, and that's kind of the quick outlay of what's inside of a police car. This is actually the entrance to the Ames Police Department, so if you're on the north side of City Hall, this is where you'd enter into between the 2 police bulbs, and you go right into those double doors, and that'd be right where we started off with our tour of the day. Thanks for coming along. Always remember, we're here to help you day or night. Our non-emergency number is 515-239-5133, and of course you know how to get a hold of us if there's an emergency. Thank you.